Aber ist jetzt auch nicht schlimm.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. We are in the last week of the Oktoberfest, and so happy to see many of you have already reached your Nirvana stage. And for those of you in the race, you still have some few more days left. Check out the Devtoberfest page in the Zippy community to know about various activities to gain points. Now, welcome to another session in ABAP and CAP Mondays of Devtoberfest. Today's session is Overview of Reuse Services in ABAP Cloud. Our guest speaker is Andre Fisher. You can post your questions in the chat and it will be addressed there. Before we start, let me again tell you can also post your questions also after the session, and then Andre also would check out in the chat. So with this, welcome Andre, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Shilpa. And welcome everybody here to today's session that's about the reuse services that we have in ABAP Cloud. So let's start with these. Okay, first of all, make this smaller. And the ABAP Cloud overview. So ABAP Cloud is this programming model as such, where all these different components are in. But beside the pure ABAP programming, we have additional things such as tools for lifecycle management. And in this picture, this small part here, these are the reuse services and libraries. And this is what we will talk about today. So I'll start with the documentation. So the documentation, if you click on here, we will get this list here of different topics, and that I choose instead of using a PowerPoint slide. So that's the overview of everything what we call reuse services. And these are things like change documents that are well known from on-prem systems, factory calendar, number range, but these had to be enabled for ABAP Cloud. So we had to make them available. And this is what this talk is about. We will cover different topics today. And that will be the application jobs. And we will also talk about the application logs, which are used, for example, by the application jobs to persist any output that can later be used to see how the job ran. Then we will have a look at the number ranges. So how can you make use of number ranges in ABAP RESTful programming model and in ABAP environment? We'll then proceed to the change documents. So these help you to persist changes to important fields. Then we'll show how you can work with mail. So when you want to send a mail from within your ABAP environment. And last not least, we'll show how to create Adobe Forms, so PDF out of a RAP BO. So let's start. So we'll start with the application jobs. So in the presentation, you will always find here the documentation. So, and here you will find different details. And here we all can already read that we need application catalog entry and templates. So what are these? So what are these application jobs? So the application jobs are, though it's maybe not, are the successor of what we had on-prem with SM37. So there you can run jobs, and with application jobs, this is the way how you can schedule and monitor regular long-running procedures in ABAP Cloud in the ABAP environment. So here on the right-hand side, we see a screenshot from ADT, And there, in a package that contains an implementation of application jobs, you will later see the GitHub link for that. We see two objects, so the application jobs and catalog entry and the job template. So these are two repository objects that you have to create in order to work with application jobs in ABAP Cloud. And we need a class, and this then implements the business logic, especially to get parameters. This is a method with which you have to implement in order to retrieve the parameters which are used by your job. You see it here on the right-hand side. You get this in the form of parameters or select options. So you know this from normal ABAP programming in on-prem. And then these values that you then retrieve from the framework via scheduling the stuff is then sent to the implementation. There is an upcoming enhancement of the API that will come with the next release just a few weeks ahead. And how does it look like now? So since we are in the cloud, there is no SAP GUI UI anymore. And therefore, we provided a Fiori application, which is called Managing Application Jobs. So application jobs, if you search for it in your ABAP environment system, and this is a Fiori application. And if you click here on this log, then you will get a detailed list of steps that have been performed here by our class. And this technically is already, looking ahead to the application logs. The application logs is that's a so-called reuse component based on OData v2 that can be integrated into applications. So but instead of using an application, it's also possible to schedule jobs programmatically. So, for example, from within a RAP BO, you could start maybe to run a job. Though I have to stress that jobs are typically something for running regular stuff, so that runs without, let's say, a RAP application, so that runs maybe weekly, daily, or whatever. But here is the API shown, so you can fill, for example, the information about the selection details, and then you can call that class and schedule a job using that template that we have spoken about. So that's now not enough with slides. So we come to our first demo. So here you see I'm logging on to a Steampunk system, and I'm now logged on, and that will then open my, where is my Eclipse? Yeah, that's my Eclipse. So that started an app that's a simple RAP BO for inventory. And the idea is that we enter certain data, and then if we have created a new product, a new entry here, we start from here a job that would then calculate the inventory in different warehouses. So we can now enter here a quantity and a product ID HT1002. So the quantity should be EA. So each, maybe some price and some currency. And then I can press create, and that creates now an entry. What I will now do is I will press on calculate inventory, and this will now schedule a job. So I switch back to the presentation. And I can now start the app that is provided by the ABAP environment in order to have a look at application jobs. So if I press now the Go button here, you see that the job is still scheduled. So it can take a while if you start this. Press now refresh and hope that it is run. No, not yet. Okay, takes longer than normal. So, oh, now it is started. So if I click here on the log, you see nicely what the job did. Okay, I put in some wait statement that took maybe too long here, and that should just show that it is something long running, right? If we now go back to our Fiori application, and press here the refresh button, you will see that we see the same entries now in our application. And the important thing is that this is the OData v4 application. So I have used here a custom entity and the API, which is available to read the application log, and integrated the application log into the RAP BO. So that could then also be used if you have something else than a job. So also a normal RAP BO could have potentially, if it is something long running, an application log. And yeah, that was, let's say, the first demo. And if you want to run the whole stuff yourself, you will find this demo, this application here in a blog post of mine. And later on, here is also the link to the GitHub repository that shows the code. You can just download it and then play around. So if you work with application jobs, I have to stress that there are authorization checks. So what you have to create when you want to work with that, you have to create a so-called business catalog that contains ERM apps. And so the ERM apps, they have to be, they are generated. So this with SAGC, this is generated when you create such an application job template. And while the authorization to see the job log, you would have to create. This is true if you use this integration that I showed into the RAP BO. The standard app would allow you to show the application log if you have created that job yourself. So that is something you have to create partly, and partly works out of the box. Then one point, because the application jobs, they were the first option to start something in an asynchronous way in ABAP environment. But meanwhile, we also have a second option that's called the background processing framework. And I want to note this down here, that if you have something which is not something for which you would use in application jobs, or something which is regular, long running, and so on, but maybe just short, like we had this example, a customer tried to send SMS using application jobs because nothing was there at that time, but that was not very nice. So for this, you can use the background processing framework now, so for frequent stuff. And it also allows to run something within the transactional control of a RAP BO. Or you can use it without transactional control, meaning you could even do a commit work that would also work in an application job. But with transactional control is something you can do with BGPF. If you want this depends on your business scenario. And there is also a blog post about this from my colleague Andreas Mohlberg. So now the application logs, you already have seen them when we had a look at the app that showed the application jobs. So that makes use of a reuse component in OData v2. But there is also a class that allows you then how you get these entries. You can write to the application log using that API, cl-barley logdb. And finally, you write something in the form of messages. And if you are within an application job, you can use an optional parameter here assigned to current application job. And if you set this to ABAP true, then it would be automatically combined with your application job and will then, as I showed, be visible in the app which is used to manage the jobs. So if you want to visualize, as I said, there is a Fiori reuse library available that is, for example, used in the application job app. And if you want to use OData v4, there is no standard solution yet, but the workaround is, if you have a look at my custom entity, you can embed this in a Fiori Elements application and have this integrated also in OData v4. Yeah. Next topic would be number ranges. So what are number ranges? I guess there are lots of people out there that know much better what number ranges are. So number ranges are something well known in on-prem system. So basically you want to get a number, let's say for sales order or any other business object, and you want to have unique numbers at one place, and you may want to have gap-free numbering. So that means you want that there are certain regulations that let's say there must be no gaps in numbering, let's say sales orders or whatever. And for this, you would use the number ranges in ABAP. And yeah, how can we work with number ranges in ABAP Cloud? So for this, we have to start with the design time. So in ADT, you can create number range objects. So number range object is based on a domain here, and you can choose whether you want to use buffering or not. That again depends on your business use case. So whether you can allow buffering, because if something is buffered, in principle, it could happen that there are gaps, because if the, let's say, application or whatever crashes, then there might be numbers already drawn. But if you use no buffering, then it would ensure gap-free numbering, for example. And if you have created this number range objects, you can use the Manage Number Range Intervals app in your ABAP environment. That's again a Fiori app. And if you click there on this app, you can maintain the number range intervals. And we'll have a later look at this more closely. And this is again something we look ahead to the next topic, the change documents. This app makes use of a reuse library that shows the changes that are persisted by the change document solution. How can we work with that? So there is again a released class, number range runtime, and that allows us to get numbers from a number range from an existing interval here, right? So the interval number 1 and the number range object zreuse002, and then I can retrieve a certain amount of numbers, and and I would then get this this number of sales orders. I can retrieve it here, and then I would know what's my highest sales order number that I have, that I can then provide in the unmanaged save, where I would, if I use late numbering in RAP, I can then take these numbers. And also we have a demo here. So we have here again Fiori application, right? A RAP BO. So I open it in the Fiori preview, and I can so I have here to create something. And I create now an entry. I select a product. And would choose a quantity. And then here, by using side effects, this data is automatically updated everywhere. I can also select a customer and would add another product to my sales order. So, and then everything is created, and you see we still have no number for the sales order because, yeah, we are using late numbering. And also here the same is true for our items. But once I press the create button, you will see that there is a number 17 drawn. And I also get here these internal numbers for the items. If we now have a look at the Fiori app for the number ranges, we can here have a look at the number range that I used, and you can see that the number range status is 70. So maybe I make it a little bit larger. So you see here that the numbers the number 17 had been drawn. So next number would be then 18. Yeah, but we will see that in the following. This is now that we come to change documents. So what are change documents? Change documents are a way when you want to record changes to objects. So let's say here in that case, the sales order, we will we create a so-called change document object, and this contains the two tables that are underneath my RAP BO, the Z reuse head and item. And what's important is that the tables use for those fields that I want to record, that they use data elements where in the additional properties the change document logging is activated. So if you create, this is a pitfall that may happen, that you create a change document object, you put in your tables, and then wondering why nothing is recorded. One reason could be that you forgot to check the change document logging setting. Once you use here once you have created all this, you can use alongside with the object, a class has been generated. In that case, the ZZL reuse SO002 class, and this offers a static write method, and here we can use that method in order to write these changes to the change document object. Also, caution, you must be authorized to do so, right? So therefore, here there are two methods that have to be implemented, not the way I did it here, right? So I just put in here RV is authorized ABAP true. So here you would implement more sophisticated authorization checks for sure, but it just should show what is the important stuff, because by default they return ABAP false and it wouldn't work. And once you have done so, you can display the changes again via a reuse library provided by SAP. And for OData v4, you can also work with a custom entity that makes use of this class that reads the change documents. So that's what I did. And I will, after this session, also post this sample app that you just saw in in GitHub. So let's switch back to our application, and now we will now change our entry. So you remember this sales order number 17. We can edit it. And what we do now is let's say, change here so we enter here. So no, that's too much. Let's say, save it and change something. And what happens now is, you see that the change documents are automatically shown here. So the new value is 26,000 whatever, so nearly 27,000, and the old value was 8,000. And yeah, this has been checked, and I can do this a second time. So, and I would put it back to 5. And automatically you will see now the changes which are locked now from 26,000 to 17,000 back. So this allows you to keep track on, let's say, important values. So typically in a change document, you didn't see this immediately because typically in order to save space and so on, you would only record changes and not initial values, though this is also possible. It's even possible to record deletions. But yeah, good. So this shows now here the app, and maybe what I should also show here quickly is how it actually works. So we have here our behavior implementation class, and we have here the adjust numbers. So here is where I get my number ranges. And I can save this then, and in my save modified method, this is where I would call the API for the change documents. So I would write then back the changes to the change document, and finally also implement then the persistency to the tables. And okay, this already a glimpse. So this you saw something with PDF that we will show now later. Let's move on to output management. So output management is something where I show two examples. I will show Mail and Adobe Forms. So if we click here on the documentation, we see in the emailing that that it's possible to send mails using SMTP, right? So you have to configure this. You have to use a cloud connector that would then connect from your sub BTP to your on-premise systems. And there you would then have to have some means to connect to an SMTP server. And if you have then done so, it's possible to use the class CLBCS mail message in order to send emails. So that would be, for example, something you could do. I showed this example of the application job, or that in the end, if it's successful, or later on or if you would use BGPF to notify somebody that a long-running process has finished. There, soon we will also have a cool option where we will have the option to notify even the user in the Fiori application. That's not yet there, and therefore, meanwhile, this would be a mean to notify somebody. You can even have attachments in text form, and the mail. What happened to your mail? There is also a way for the administrator to see whether the sending of mails was successful or not. And there is an application for that we deliver as part of the ABAP environment. In terms of connectivity, you have to create a communication arrangement based on a communication scenario subcom 0548 that basically contains the information that takes basically the information to connect to your SMTP server. And as I said already, you need the cloud connector in order to connect from sub BTP to the customer-owned SMTP server. So let's start here with a demo again. Here you see I used an ADT link with an SID that does not exist, and that gives me then this nice this nice option to select something. And here I've created a small class that will send now emails. Okay. See, that's basically the code that I showed. And if I run this class via F9, then we will see something here in the console. So there are two email addresses that are used, my email address and some non-existing email address at sap.com. And I see here through the API already that there is one error with the first email. The second email is there. Okay, I can later show this even. One moment. So you see here, that's the email, including with the text attachment. And that worked. Okay, so what also worked is that we can have a look at what happened here in the app. So I can start the application here, and this will then start the tool that shows the email sending. And if press here the go button, you see here it's shown with an error because one of the two emails have sent successfully and one did not. So this is then the detailed information what went wrong here. Good. So this is now then coming to our last point. So that's the Adobe Forms service. So as part of the sub BTP ABAP environment, we also offer the sub forms service by Adobe, and that would allow us here from a cloud-based application, in that case ABAP, but it would also work for other environments. We can make use of this service, and there is a template store available where we store the templates for our Fiori application. So if I click here, that starts the app for the Adobe Forms service. So here we will find, for example, a template that I will make use of, where here that's the one here. So here I have to maintain this information. There's a longer blog post about this, and what we will now see is there was a create PDF button in the application that I showed before, and that application will this will then allow us to get a PDF out of this. So I will move back to my PMD application. So we start again our Fiori Elements preview. So we select this the sales order that I just have created. And if I now press the Create PDF button, you will see that the description has changed to PDF generation started. This now uses technically BGPF in the background, so this background processing framework, and it will it takes a few seconds in order to generate this this PDF. And we see now that this PDF has been generated, and we can and I have used the standard here option to incorporate was machen wir jetzt hier? So, and this is now the PDF that shows the values that I just created. Okay, colleagues, is there something wrong there? Because here we had a short flicker in our okay, no, that's not done down. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, so that's basically it, what we what I wanted to show you here. So something else that we have as part of the reuse services are the Xco libraries. So these are libraries that allow you to do certain things. So it even allows you to generate repository objects or to work, for example, with JSON. So that's, for example, my open source based RUP generator is based on that. And examples on how to handle JSON. So you will find examples in GitHub for the use of these classes. And if you want to know more about the reuse services, there is roadmap information available. So here we will find information about what is upcoming. So what are the planned releases? So when will certain stuff be available in SAP S/4HANA on-prem, the private cloud edition, or be it in the ABAP environment and public cloud edition. So this is then where you can have a look what's coming soon. Yeah, I thank you for listening and hope that you will be able to try out the one or other thing. So as I said, I will post the project for the RUP-BO with the sales order and the change document integration soon. And we will then share the link beneath that YouTube video. Or you can ping me via the community and then I will share it there as well. Thanks everybody for listening and hope that you have a nice day. Today, for example, I can also recommend a session about the future of the ADT, of everything which is around ABAP programming from Thomas Alexander Ritter. I think it's 11 o'clock. So maybe time enough to grab a coffee for you and see you next time.
Thank you, Andre, for another interesting session. Well, we had good discussions in the live chat as well. And thank you everyone for watching. And if you have more questions, drop it in the comments of the community event page. The validation tutorial about the session will be available by the end of the day. Slides and the information about the project which Andre showed will also be updated in the community event page and in the description of the YouTube video link. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next session.
Hi.